Hello and welcome to That's Football. I'm Mark Goldbridge. This is Champions League football. It is Spurs versus Juventus for a place in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. 2-2 in Turin, and very, very excited for this one. Big fan of Juventus. It's my sort of second club, if I'm honest. But big fan of Spurs this season. I'm not going to be biased in this, if you know, obviously English as well. So I think Spurs are just, you know, away from your own support. I think Spurs are. I like Spurs. I like the way they play. I like the way they press. I've been really impressed with the way that they dominate teams. I saw them at Anfield the other week, very high up the pitch. Arsenal, very high up the pitch. Juventus a couple of weeks ago, very high up the pitch, pressing and very impressive, like I said. So, but Juventus, the old lady, can they produce something? Saw them at the weekend against Lazio. We did it on here, didn't we? As a watch along, in fact. So interested. My head says Spurs are going to come out on top. They've got the 2-2, so Juventus have got to try and score. But Juventus were in the Champions League final last year. I wasn't impressed with Juventus at the weekend against Lazio. I thought they were a bit lucky. I wasn't impressed with them against Spurs in the first leg, even though they went 2-0 up. But I don't know that they're gonna get there. Pankaj says, Mark, I thought Forest were your second team. Don't be so bloody racist. Well, not racist, you know what I mean. Just because I'm from Nottingham, I meant to support Forest. In fact, if you watch the game at the weekend, you'll understand. If I was going to support any team from Nottingham, it would probably be Notts County, because I come from Italian descendancy, and Juventus, obviously, are a team that I do like, and Juventus wear black and white because of Notts County. So if I was going to pick any team from Nottingham, it would be them. So I don't know where the Forest thing comes from. Do you remember me from last time? Says YouTube Gamer 101. I do. We've got over 270 people watching already, which is great. Thanks for watching. Please do drop a like and share it. Let's see how many people we can get watching tonight. And if you are new to That's Football, we're building towards hopefully a long and prosperous future for the channel. We had Sander last night doing everyone's ears in, but a very good job in relation to Real Madrid and PSG. Glad Real Madrid won. And then tomorrow night we've got Arsenal versus AC Milan, which I'll be watching. I might be on the watch along, but we're definitely doing it. It could be Sander again, but that's a 6 PM kickoff. So lots of good games to come this week. David says, who's this guy? So who's this guy? You know why I got it wrong? Because who's this guy? Where is Xander? I mean, that's nice for me to hear, because a lot of people say, why is Xander on? Where's Mark? So AJ Nell, I do remember you. And for all those people who've actually, I'm just going to give a personal shout out. Mark Goldbridge channel put up a video this afternoon off my phone talking about social media and how it's ruining humanity. Thanks everybody for watching it and who's left their comments on there. It was good. Liam Richards is from Nottingham. Kieran's a Scouser. We won't hold it against you. You might support Everton. I do keep United stand stuff segregated from this. That's the whole point. This is a football channel for everybody to get involved in. I mean, personally, massive Manchester United fan. You'll know from the United stand, but I do watch a lot of football, and this is a game I will be sat watching tonight. So why not do a watch along with you, good people? PJ7 Football Highlights says, I'm a massive Juventus fan. Please, Juve, fight till the end. There's no United stand show tonight, Sophie. I did one at 1 o'clock. Back to normal tomorrow. We've got a combined Liverpool Manchester United 11. That's going to be at about 2 o'clock tomorrow UK time, and then we're back at 8 o'clock for the rest of the week. So lots going on. Did a research project last semester at uni about the effects of social media on young people. Some interesting discoveries, to be honest. Matthew, you know what? If you can go on my video that I did this afternoon on the Mark Goldbridge channel and just basically bullet point what your thoughts are on there, that's really what I want to get, really. I've given my thoughts. I want everybody else. Manchester United is my life, says AJ Nell. Well, you know. Come on, Juventus, says Prince R9. Who's everyone wanting to win? Juventus or Spurs? For me, as a purist, I'm just looking for a good game. I'm looking for a good game of football. I like both teams. Maybe didn't like Spurs much before this season, but they've impressed me. There's the legend, Buffon. There's just something sad about Juventus going out tonight because of Buffon, but I haven't read the teams out for you, actually, have I? Let's go through the team news. So we'll start off with Spurs. Lloris in goal, Trippier, Sanchez, Vertonghen, Davies, Dyer, Dembele, Eriksen, Dele Alli, Son and Kane. Probably their best team, really. Son's very underrated. On the bench, they've got Vorm, Danny Rose, Wanyama, Sissoko, Lamela, Lucas, Llorente, Don't be surprised to see Danny Rose coming to United in the summer, by the way. And then Juventus, Buffon, Basagli, Benatia, Chiellini, who was rested at the weekend, Alexandro, who was rested at the weekend, Khedira, Pjanic, Matuidi, Dybala, Higuain, who didn't play at the weekend, Douglas Costa, who was rested at the weekend. So Juventus have got 4 players back, 4 big players, Chiellini, Alexandro, Higuain, Douglas Costa. They will make them remarkably better than they were against Lazio, and they still managed to win with Dybala. So I'm looking forward to this. So glad that Mandzukic isn't even on the bench. He must be injured. I don't like Mandzukic. I've never liked him. I didn't like him when he was at Bayern, and I don't like him at Juventus. He's just a tall player. People who watch the United stands, you know, I've not got a lot of time for people like that tall, unless there's Latan. Chesney on the bench, Rugani, Lichtsteiner, Asamoah. Those 3 all played at the weekend. Marquisio, Storaro and Benteke. Trying to think who's missing. Benedict. Oh, I forgot his bloody name. I should know his name. Fiorentina lad. Signed last summer. Begins with a B. Bernadeschi. I think that was it. Yeah. I think he must be injured. Sander's here. Get Xander a new mic, he says. Hashtag get Xander a new mic. Get some subscribers when you're on the show, Xander, and then we might be able to get you a new mic. Matthew McFadden says Mandzukic is a weird one. I like him, but not at the same time. Nat Fern likes him. He's a grafter and he's decent on the ball. Just Costa and Sandro makes them 20% better, says Dean. Yeah, Bernadeschi. Thanks, Matthew McFadden. I like him as well. He must be injured. We need to change the loading screen at the start of the United stand, Callum. I know I've spoken to Drawty about it. Thanks for that. Mark, do you think Spurs will park the bus because they have an away advantage? I think this is, you know, I'm not actually pro about. Funnily enough, I'm not pro and I'd like to get your lot's thoughts, because that's the whole point of doing these shows, whether it's United Stand or here. It's all about the interactivity and the live comments. That's why we love it. But I don't know about you lot, but I'm not totally pro about the away goal rule. I don't like it. I think it's if this didn't have an away goal, 2-2, then somebody's got to win this game, and I think Spurs just try and win. But because there's an away goal there, does it affect how Spurs approach the game? And does it make Juventus have to do something that they're not normally that comfortable with? I've never really liked the away goal rule, to be honest. Loads of Juventus fans holding up pictures of David Astori, which is fantastic to see. And they're doing a minute's silence as well. And while they're doing that, let me just go silent and sort this out. So, minute silence done there. Tragic circumstances, of course. Let's see if we can get to 24,000 subscribers tonight. Please share the video. Get as many people involved as you can. This is That's Football. Everybody is welcome. If you're a fan of football, just subscribe and get involved. But this game's about to kick off. It's going to be very interesting to see how it is approached by both teams. I think Juventus have clearly got some really good attacking talent there with Costa and Dybala and Higuain back as well. But they're going to have to match a very good Spurs team at the moment. I think they're probably one of the informed teams in Europe as of the last month. They've been very, very good. But the game's kicked off, and the only thing I would say about Spurs, very good, very impressive against United, Arsenal, Juventus, Liverpool. Very good against all of those over the last month or so. But they had a horrific November. And will their bubble burst again at a critical time of the season? Maybe not, because they're on the attack here. In the Juventus box already. Juventus should get clear. I don't know what they're doing. You don't do that around your box, but there we go. Physical team as well, Spurs. I think they lack it up well. Timer is sorted now, Gary Rage. I really like your emote. What do they call it? What, your icon, your little face icon next to your name, Gary Rage. I like that. CR7 Ronaldo, what do you think about the PSG fans putting out flares and chanting through the minute silence for Restore? I think some hardcore fan elements, both in England and Europe, can be described as a bunch of shits, to be honest. I mean, but, you know, there's some evil people out there, aren't there? You know, they just don't respect anything, so that's what I think of that. Dean, it's Juventus in yellow, mate. H1 says Dybala scout. He wasn't that good against Lazio at the weekend, but, you know, he still scored a bloody great goal at the end of it. So, you know, I suppose that's the epitome of a world-class player. But this is all Spurs at the moment. And decent cross in there from Son, which Chiellini got on the end of. But Spurs, again, as every game I've seen them recently, it's all in the opposition's final third. There is a super chat option, Calvin, if you want to do it. It's the $sign. CR7 Ronaldo. Mark, who and what team will score first? I ain't got a bloody clue, mate. I can't pull things out like that out of the hat. But I suppose Harry Kane and Spurs is probably the most popular choice. I think what Spurs have done with Wembley is very impressive, by the way. I mean, I think they're averaging over 60,000 every game. And that's good for a team like Spurs. It makes you wonder, you know, what a team like Arsenal or Chelsea. Good shot, good save from Buffon there from Son. And there'll be a foul there to Juventus. It makes you wonder what Arsenal or Chelsea could do in a 70,000 capacity, or even a Liverpool. We know with United they pack 75,000 every week. I think United would fill a 90,000 every week. Man City, obviously they'd struggle with a 20,000, but in fairness, Liverpool, Man City, not Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, you know, if Spurs are getting 60,000 plus in, surely they would want to as well. Kieran Burns says it's a sellout. I've seen a few empty seats, but it's a massive stadium, isn't it? What does Wembley hold? 88,000, something like that? Tommy says an early Juventus goal would set the tie up. Lovely. Oh, yeah. I mean, all that would do is make Juventus defend. I mean, Juventus are in a tough position because even if they go 1, Spurs get 1-1, they're still out. You know, Juventus sort of need 2 goals in this game to start getting it interesting. I think Dybala's got a very similar sort of running style to somebody I've seen before. I can't remember. I don't know, it might even be unique because it's just very distinctive. He sort of runs back like that when I'm cleaning windows. But little bit of Griezmann about him, but there's something else. It's a bit weird. It's sort of short-armed running. Dybala first goal, says Mikey. George Carl's in the house. A lot of people joining us now, which is great. Hopefully we'll get a few more at 8 o'clock who remember that the United stand isn't on and come over here. Do a watch along with Sander for the Champions League final. I'd love to, but my ears are getting old these days and I don't want to smash my drums apart. But the thing is, it's nothing to do with what Sander thinks. Sander's trying to get a new mic out of all this, but the reality is, his mic's got nothing to do with audio levels, volume. You know, just turn the volume down on the way you talk. Sophie, yeah, Dybala has just come back from an injury. It's a good game so far. It's a good game. Good game. Simsible enjoyed the Twitter video, Mark. Yeah, get onto my channel, Mark Goldbridge, and watch that Twitter video. YouTube's a bit weird at the moment. When you do, this has happened to me twice. It happened on the United stand at Christmas. I did my Christmas preview in the kitchen in my sister's house on Christmas Eve, and it was stayed up for a day or two, and then YouTube just wiped it. And obviously it's not an upload, it's done live, so I've got nowhere I can re-upload it. The run I went on the other day, I did a run for 20 minutes, live streaming on a run for 20 minutes. It's just disappeared. It's just gone. I can't do anything about it. It's not even in my... It's not gone private or anything like that. It's just gone. Who's in the Arsenal game tomorrow? It may be me. It may be Xander, but we're definitely going to do it. Tyrone Williams. Xander's good, but his voice hurts my ears because of volume. Aggregate score is 2-2, mate. So Spurs have got the good position in this game because they've got the 2 away goals. If it stays 0-0, 0-0, 1-1 puts Spurs through. Of course, if Juventus win, they'll go through. But a draw is no good for Juventus until it gets to 2-2. And then you'd have extra time. And then if 3-3, Juventus go through. But I'd say 7 minutes in... Ooh, I tell you what, I don't know whether Higuain should get on the end of that. I remember at 2-0 in the first leg, Higuain had a very, very good chance to make it 3. This is Costa. I like Costa. He was linked to United in the summer from Bayern, wasn't it? And it's a lovely cross in. And well, I think it's one of those sort of crosses where it's behind you but fast. So Higuain can't really do a hell of a lot with it, to be fair. But a really good cross. And I was going to say Spurs have started off the stronger, but... My only sort of retainer in this is Juventus are so experienced. They're so experienced. And it would be a shock for Juventus to go out to Spurs in Europe, because I watch a lot of European football. And Juventus fans won't be happy if they go out to Spurs. But I tell you what, there's no shame in it. Spurs are a very, very good team this season. And I would put Spurs as favourites in this tie at the moment. But Juventus at the moment, they've got a chance. They've got a chance, boys. Mark, what do you think Spurs are missing to make a serious title challenge? That's a bloody good question from Mark Bolton. And that challenge guy says, hi, Mark. Well, I'm going to throw that to the live comments. I think when there's a really good question, I like to see what other people are going to say. What are Spurs missing to make them a title challenge? It's so difficult for me to answer that question because I know I'll get shot down because... The reality is, they should have won it the year Leicester won it. They should have won it the year Chelsea won it. But they were the best team last year, but Chelsea won it. The year Leicester won it was just romance, wasn't it? But Spurs were probably the best team that year. So they've already had 2 years where they should have won it. This year they're nowhere near like anybody else because Man City are going to do it. So it's hard to say what Spurs need. I just think they're always going to be the bridesmaid, never going to be the bride, because it's hard to say what Spurs need. They actually have got pretty much everything. They've got the consistent, prolific striker. They've got the creators. They've got the really good midfielders. You know, you've got your people like, you know, Dembele's fantastic. Wanyama's good. Eric Dyer does a good job. It's hard. It's really hard to say what Spurs need. Maybe... You know, maybe instead of Son, you've got Gareth Bale. You know, maybe it's something like that. But Alex Oden says they're just not consistent. I think that's it. I think it's. I'm actually paying a compliment to Spurs because I don't know what they do need, but I do. It's a backbone. They need a backbone. They're like Arsenal. The North London clubs. There's just something. I call them jelly babies because they've got no spine, and I think that's the thing. They're always going to do something stupid when it matters. Like Spurs did what Arsenal normally did in November. They just collapsed completely. Spurs were level with United at one point for second up until about October. Chasing Spurs. Had a horrible November and now they're having to, you know, bust a gut and play really good just to get themselves back in the top 4 again. I think that's Spurs' problem. It's the same as Arsenal's problem. George Carl says it's a lack of bottle. They just bottle it. And until they stop bottling it, they'll never win titles. Always think clearly. If you DM me your YouTube page on at Mark Goldbridge, I can do it. So you saw a really interesting thing today talking about European football. Juventus just passing it around the back at the moment. Nothing much happening. Leon Bailey, formerly of Genk, currently of Schalke. Jamaican descendancy. He hasn't picked his national team yet. He's tearing it up and he can play for England. Why are we not doing something about that? Why are we messing around trying to get Scott McTominay to play for us when he's played hardly any games at all? And go and get Leon Bailey. Calvin Wagstaff says steak pie and chips and Watchalong. I tell you what, Calvin, I wish I was eating them. I had an early tea tonight. What did I have? It was nice. Garlic bread with a prawn pasta salad. Not cold, hot. Had like a tomato sauce with it. It was nice. Camille says, what is the chance of United winning the Champions League, given the fact Mourinho is a masterclass when it comes to knockout matches? I don't know. Sorry, he's at Leverkusen. He's not Schalke, yeah. Sorry, Andrew K, you're right. I knew he was in Germany. It's a team that's sort of not the best. I don't think United are going to win the Champions League. United have got the manager to win the Champions League, and they've got the players to win the Champions League. If I was Manchester United manager, I would be on the training pitch all week, sorting out a problem where you've got Alexis Sanchez and Paul Pogba, who are consistently below par. If you can get those two playing, they're both potentially world-class players. If you get those two players playing potentially world-class, United's performance levels go up massively. The problem at the moment is that he's got them playing in exactly the same position. He's got them playing in positions where they both want to be in the same area, and they're cancelling each other out. You sort that out, and who knows with United. But defensively, they're not brilliant, and their midfield is terrible. Another good cross from Costa this time from the left. No, it was Sandro that time. That's the good thing about Spurs as well, is that on their game they're very good defensively. Mikey, if United beat Sevilla, who would I want? Well, you know, who would Spurs want if they get through this? Who do Liverpool and City want, having got through? You probably want to avoid Real Madrid. I think Real Madrid are the favourites. I wouldn't want to play Barcelona, not because I'm scared of Barcelona, but because I just find Barcelona, even watching that Atletico Madrid game at the weekend, they've got no width. It's ticky-tacky, and I don't like... They always want to score the perfect goal as well. I don't like watching Barcelona games, to be a hell of a lot, to be totally honest, because, you know, anyone who plays them is just going to be scared of them wrongly and part of the bus, and they're just going to spend most of the game passing it around. So I wouldn't want United to get Barcelona. I wouldn't want them to get Real Madrid. I haven't seen enough of Bayern Munich to know about them. So I suppose the Roma Shakhtar Donetsk game would be the one, wouldn't it? Donald, I was watching PSG Real Madrid. That was, to be totally honest, that's why I didn't do United Stand last night. But 8 o'clock shows will be back tomorrow night. Standard. Roma says Louise O'Donoghue, yeah. Spurs, what are we coming up for 15 minutes in? And yes, I agree with George Kyle, Barcelona are cheats. I think Spurs are trying to say it should have been a handball on Chiellini. He slides into the ball. It would have been very harsh. There's no real hand-to-ball contact. I mean, it could have been given, but I think it would have been half. Did Sophie win the FA? Did Sophie win the FA Cup? She didn't win the FA Cup, Mikey. So Sophie, who does the United Stand on a Sunday night, her team, Kelsa, were in the final. Harry Kane, rounded Buffon side netting. Did really well. But put it into the side netting. Had a player with him. It wasn't straightforward, but it was a good chance. Spurs starting to turn that screw a little bit. Of course, I think a goal for Spurs would pretty much put this tie, not to bed, but it'd make it hard for Juventus because they'd have to score 2. 1-1 in this game still puts them out. Tommy, good idea. Maybe we could do a Skype show tomorrow and get some fan opinion on. Yep, I like the idea of that. Yeah, so Sophie went off injured in her team and her cup final, and they lost to Stoke. Matthew says Barcelona fans are highly pretentious. There you go. Sophie's team lost 2-0, Mark Gowan says. It's Kelsa Women she plays for, Darth Drake. Although she has been, last time I spoke to her, I think she has been at Wolves and had a potential move back there. But she's not in the Premier League. I think Real Madrid are going to win it. I've said, for anyone who's been listening to me, and I know not everyone does, I said Real Madrid will win the Well, I'm not going to say they're going to win it because that's just, nobody knows that. But my favourites to win it have always been Real Madrid because I just think you got Ronaldo, Asensio, Bale is still a good player when he plays, Isco, people like that. But on top of that, you've also got, I think they've just got the best midfield three in the world with Casemiro and Modric and Kroos. I'm tired of saying it. But also, their back four's good. Marcelo's a fantastic left back. Ramos and Varane are very good. I just think they've got... Oh, that'll be a penalty. I can't believe he's not given a penalty. I cannot believe he has not given a penalty to Spurs there. That is looking... unless it's a dive, like Tube said, I am stunned. We were a long way away. But he's got to book him otherwise. Penalty, I think. I think that's a penalty. He's dived for it and he's not got the ball. Stonewall penalty, that is. You can't say it's a dive. There's connection there and he's jumped in and he's not got the... he's not given it. Why have a bloody assistant behind the goal if you can't see that 5 yards in front of him? Absolute clown. Absolute clown. And to be, Juventus need that. You need that sort of you need that decision to go for you. Gary Rage says ref's scared. Pankaj says it's a dive. I don't know. Look, maybe you need to go to Specsavers, mate. But they did do a replay for you there, and you can quite clearly see what. For one, Vertonghen's tackle is bloody ridiculously reckless. He doesn't get anywhere near the ball, and he's sliding in, and he makes contact with the player about 2 or 3 times. Whether it's slight or not, there's contact there. It's a penalty. Definite pen, says George Kyle. Tube says it was a dive. I don't know how why. Please tell us in the comments why it's a dive when there's contact. I'd love to know what people's interpretation of penalties are. Caljum says 100% definite penalty. John Sherrill, definite penalty. CR7 Ronaldo says dive. Nitel says dive. Chris says robbed. Should have been a penalty, says Champion. Herbs, dive. That's Tubes again. Definite penalty. Takes the man. Obvious penalty, says harsh it. And Spurs will probably score now. They're on the break. Anyway, it's gone. It's gone. And Spurs just had a header there. Buffon cleared. The Juventus need to get their heads here now because there's been an injustice. And it's funny how injustices can really break your rhythm. He's a good player, Costa, isn't he? Oh, skills. Physical tight team Spurs though, aren't they? Codart Cloud Jr.'s made a contribution. Cheers, pal. It's gone. It was a penalty. It wasn't given. Go again. Ash W's made a contribution. United could win the Champions League with Sanchez right wing. Yeah, I think that's what they need to do. They either need to put Pogba on the right side of the midfield if he wants to play Sanchez left wing, or he needs to put Sanchez at number 10 or on the right wing to stop them moving into each other's space. Apparently it's 1-1 City Basel, but remember City are through anyway. Andrew K says Douglas Costa's got incredible pace. When he gets going, he's brilliant. It's a good game, says Samson. What a game this is. Mark never reads my comments, says Agent Paul. So we're 20 minutes in. Juventus should have had a penalty, and Harry Kane put one into the side netting when he rounded the keeper. Cloud Jr. Hi Mark, can you unblock me on the United stand? Thanks for the contribution. I can. The only way I can really do it, because we don't have it. The way YouTube works is you don't get a big list of names that are blocked. The only way I could do it is go into your YouTube page and unblock you that way. So you need to send me a DM on Twitter at Mark Goldbridge or United Stand at United Stand MUFC, and we can do it that way. Favourite Juventus player? It's got to be Buffon. He's a legend, isn't he? Agent Paul says Juventus are the masters of the 1-0 away win. That would be enough tonight. It would be enough. Hallam899 live. Welcome. It's his first time watching. Who said that? Lionel Messi, I rate Sandro. He's what United need. I tell you what, I think United will buy a left back in the summer. I've been saying for a long time I don't think we need to, because we've got Luke Shaw, but more and more I just think Mourinho is not going to use him. Nice little build-up play here from Spurs, and Dybala was going to shoot from distance. I think they need to realise Lloris is not it's not Joe Hart in goal. It's a good game though. It's a good game. It's hard to tell which way it's going to go. I'd still say Spurs. Suleiman Hussein. I've been at Yuri Alberto. I really haven't got anything I can say about him, to be honest. Spurs on the break here. He's going to go for the box. You've got to do something about it. Good block. Corner. Spurs corner. I think Son is a very underrated player, AJ now. Yeah, definitely. He does a great job for Spurs. Bit like Park Ji-sung at United. I don't know what it is about these Asian players that they don't really get the sort of focus they deserve. I don't know why. It's a bit odd. But yeah, he's very good. Will we do a Q&A on the other channel, Mark? We pretty much answer questions all the time on the other channel. So like we're doing it on this. So it's normally on a Saturday night, but it won't be this week because it's Liverpool, isn't it? Please click the subscribe button if you're new. We're trying to get up to 24,000 subscribers tonight. It'd be nice to get 1,000 people watching as well. So if you have already subscribed, you can click the share button. That would be appreciated. Share it on Twitter and Facebook and everything. And let's get try and get the numbers up for the channel in generally. We're working towards that World Cup where we're thinking of doing watch-alongs, but I ain't doing watch-alongs if we ain't, you know, if it's just going to be me and Robbie. I'll just watch them on my own and in my pants and not have to worry about you lot watching me. Always think clearly. Juventus haven't been great this season. Obviously, Juventus winning against Lazio was ridiculous at the weekend. I mean, it was a last-minute winner. On top of that, Napoli then lost to Roma. I think Juventus will go on and win Serie A now. Such a blatant penalty that is on Costa. Watching it back now. Reckless. 1 bit, 2 bit. There's actually 2 bits of contact. How are people saying that's a dive? And the tackle's reckless as well. I mean, the referee's really got to look at that and go, 1, it's a reckless tackle, he's not got the ball. And 2, there's 2 bits of bloody contact. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. But, well, it is believable. Would you want VAR though? Would you want VAR? Would you want it so you can watch it back and say penalty? Would you want it for that? Maybe, maybe not. I'm still a romantic, and I still think, even though that was a penalty and Juventus should get it, I still think the joy you get from debate that we're still having minutes later is exactly why I don't want VAR. I certainly don't want it for offsides, but maybe the key decisions, like a penalty, or yeah, you know, maybe that's okay. But I still think I wouldn't want it because although Juventus should have had a penalty, I like the arguments. Suddenly, I don't know why. Maybe my eyes are just drawn to nice comments, but just had a few nice comments in there. So thanks everyone for that. My back's really hurting me today as well. I've to be honest, I've had a right miserable day today. Just one of those days. So it's nice just to end it with you guys watching a bit of football, and it's well poised. Do I like any other sports? Says Jack Albertsley. I do. But I've said this before. I bore people repeating stuff, but I do like to answer questions, and I like. I've lost my live comments now. I hate it when I lose the live comments. It's not anything to do with you, it's just me being a plonker. Okay, so I do like other sports, but I can't commit to them like football because I like to watch Serie A, I like to watch La Liga, I like to watch international football as long as it's not England. Vertonghen's in the book. He could have been off. If he'd had the yellow card for the first one, again, another late tackle, he'd be off. But what I do with other sports is I'll watch the big events. So the Olympics, I'll watch that. The Ashes in cricket. Rugby, I watch the Six Nations, the World Cup, and the Autumn Internationals. So yeah, that's 3 sports I do like. I'm trying to think of any others. Boxing, I like boxing. Yeah, I like all those sports, and I would watch them a hell of a lot more. I just don't have the time to do it, so I'll only ever watch the big things. When's the rugby coming up anyway? Because I know England have got France, and I know they've got. Ireland as well. They must be playing this weekend. Ireland are going for the Grand Slam on St Patrick's Day at Twickenham, says Kieran Byrne. I think they'll win it. Now England have lost to Scotland. I think Ireland will win the Grand Slam. I do. I think England are the best team in the Six Nations, but just caught Scotland on one of those days that happens every now and again. How do you get to present on this channel, says Psy Guy. To be honest, you know what? Actually, I think I'm going to look at getting another person involved anyway, so keep your eye out. Do a rugby watch along, says Pankaj. I don't think many people would watch, though. It's a bit like doing a Man City watch along. No one watches. Brian, why do you hate the English national team so much? Look, I'm English. I'm very proud to be English. I used to massively support England. I'm old enough to be... I remember Italia 90, Euro 96, 98. Beckham sending off, going out to Argentina. 2002, we should have won it. We bottled it against Brazil. I put a lot of time and investment into England. And then, you know what? I'll still watch them in the summer and I'll still hope for a miracle. But... I think what frustrates me most about England is poor managerial choices and clicks. Picking your mates, picking the clicks, and not actually picking the right players. And the FA are just so yes men. Gareth Southgate's not the best manager that around for England. Sam Allardyce should have been nowhere near it either. They've just decided they want to go with English people at the moment because picking a foreign coach is not a good idea. The trouble is they picked the wrong foreign coach. Ericsson and Capello, they're just yes men. That's all the FA want. They want yes men. That's why they never gave Brian Clough the job, because he was the best manager, arguably one of the best managers that ever lived, was never going to get the England job because he's too opinionated. They just want yes men. They'd never give it to Sir Alex Ferguson, even if they wanted to. They'd never give it to Mourinho. They just want grey, boring yes men. And the English national team has just become a brand. It's just become a money. It's about money. They're not interested. They're not interested in winning things. So I've gone right. I've gone right off them. I wouldn't not support them, and I wouldn't say I don't support them. I've got no expectation anymore. I used to have expectation. Who should be next England's manager? If they're going to be English, I'd go Eddie Howe. If they're going to go foreign, there's loads of people you could get foreign. It'd be good. You know, I'd even have a word with Ancelotti. Why not? I hated McLaren Magical Maroon. Absolute Wally with a brolly was right. But you know what? I'd probably say I preferred Southgate over Allardyce. I could not believe we gave Allardyce the job because he's just a long ball merchant. Look at what he's doing at Everton. Sod all. And also Tabish, I think that was one of the tipping point things for me. Michael Carrick, one of the best midfielders in the Premier League ever. And we spent 10 years playing Gerrard and Lampard, who were basically the same player. No thought about actually having a balanced midfield. It was all about playing cliques, playing mates. Gerrard and Lampard is your midfield too. I mean, come on. Where's the balance with that? There isn't any. Carrick with Gerrard or Carrick with Lampard would have been absolutely perfect, but we didn't. We played egos. The England national team, we played egos. And they messed Paul Scholes up in his prime and put him out to the left wing. Idiots in charge. Anyway, Dele Alli's just had a decent shot. Long way out. You're not going to beat Buffon from there and it's straight at him, but good chance. If you could add any player from Juventus to add to United, who would it be, Christopher Hoffman? Well, it doesn't have to be United. If you could have any player from Juventus for your team, who would you go with? You'd probably go Dybala, wouldn't you? Because he's the most valuable as well. But Son's just kicked out twice there. You can't do that. I think Alexandro would suit United very well. But 32 minutes, it's been a steady half. England should have used Carrick, Scholes and Gerrard as Tyrone Williams. To be fair, the best England team was 2002 when somebody was injured. I can't remember who it was, but they had to play Nicky Butt in the midfield. And, you know, Nicky Butt may not be as good as Gerrard or Scholes or Lampard. I don't think Lampard was around then. It was more a couple of years later. But Butt played in the 2002 World Cup and it worked really well. Because it's not always about ability, it's about how you put the team together. And because Nicky Butt was the workhorse and then everyone else was the creators, it just worked. You had balance. We should have won 2002. We just bottled it against Brazil. We would have won that. We should have won the World Cup in 2002. It was our best chance. Italia 90, yeah, we had a good chance in Italia 90, but 2002 we should have won it. We just bottled it against Brazil. They were down to 10 men for 45 minutes, for God's sake. And Seaman got beat by that ridiculous goal by Ronaldinho, which he probably did mean, but any keeper should never have let that happen. Chris Windle, will Luke Shaw get in the England team? I don't know who they'll take as left back. Danny Rose isn't playing at the moment, so could be James Milner. I ain't talking about Game of Thrones, Druv. We've got a good Game of Thrones on at the moment. This is not a bad game. And I like talking about topical things, but it's not a bad game. Instant red card for instant yellow card for Alexandro there. Spurs are diving a bit. I mean, all Alexandro has done there is accidentally tread on his toe. If that's a yellow card, my God. Conte or Pep? Well, it's got to be Pep, hasn't it, to be fair? I'd rather take none. Spurs will be quite happy with this half. They'll be quite happy, I think. Not a lot not going their way. The live comments back. Luke Shaw could be world class at Spurs, says Kieran Byrne. It'd be interesting if he did go somewhere else. This game, I think Spurs are going to get nervous in the second half. If this stays 0-0, Spurs need that cushion goal, because if it stays 0-0, they it could be in a bit of bother. They could be in a bit of bother. 23,702 subscribers. If you are new to the channel and you've not... Oh no, forget being new. If you are on the channel and you've not subscribed to That's Football, bottom right hand corner, click that subscribe button please, and let's see if we can get the numbers up tonight as well while we're watching. Also, hit the share button. There's a lot of United standards looking for an 8 o'clock show tonight, and they should be here. Decent cross there, but Spurs have got rid. Tyrone says Dybala runs like Aguero. No, it's not the player I'm thinking of. Spurs will bottle it, says Mourinho talks. I think if Spurs bottle this, depends who you want to win the Champions League, really. Do you want Man City to win the Champions League? If you do, you'd want Juventus to go through, because City would spend a lot of time in the final third against a team like Juventus. If you don't want Man City to win it, you'd probably want Spurs to win, because Spurs will be more adept at dealing with Manchester City. I don't think this Juventus team is going to do a lot in the back end of the tournament, is what I'm trying to say. I mean, I'm very happy if Juventus went through. I like Juventus. I like the way Spurs have played football this season. So... he has got a bit of a run-in about Sterling, Ben Smith. You're right, yeah. Big D says, great game so far. Spurs are doing well. Spurs just need to get that goal, and it might come now. Son into the box with Chiellini. Get the shot away. Oh, I thought that's going in the bottom corner. It's just wide. Deserved a goal there. Deserved a goal there. He's done everything right except put the ball in the back of the net. Dembele is a tank, Jake Mitchell. 31 he is this year, I think. Oh, I think Son's got a score there. He does all the hard bits, skips past Chiellini, opens up the space, bottom corner. He's got a score. He's got a score. When you watch it back, he's got to score that chance. That Sanchez from Ajax is going to be a good player as well. Very young, and he's already settled in. Here we go. They've got space here. He's got the wrong pass. He's got the right pass. What a tackle. Trippier, why didn't you shoot? It's a goal. It's a goal for Spurs. It's Son. I don't know why Trippier didn't shoot. He cuts it back, and Son sort of miscatches it. Mishits it. And that wrong foot's Buffon, who's already gone down. And it goes up and over him. But it's a goal for Spurs. It's 1-0. And probably deserved. Son should have scored a minute too before. That puts Spurs in a very strong position now. Very strong. But Eriksen slips in alley. It's a good tackle by Chiellini. But Trippier's pass, to be fair, very good. I think Trippier maybe should have shot here. He gets fed in by the tackle on alley. But no, very clever play by Trippier. And Son mishits it. It bobbles up in front of Son, and he sort of hits it into the ground off his other foot, and it bounces. It's a lucky finish. I think if he hits it right, maybe they've got a chance. But he should have scored the chance before that. Look how a real team attacks, says Calamity James. Look, you know what? They're a good team. A good team this season, Spurs. I'll keep saying it. Oh, what am I looking for here? I'm trying to change the score. There we go. It's all a bit slow today on my broadcasting suite. So sorry. It's normally a bit quicker than that. Son's in the form of his life, says H13. Well, it puts Spurs into a strong position. 3-2 on aggregate. 1-0 on the night. 5 minutes to half time. Juventus, whatever happens, Juventus have got to score twice now. A goal before half-time makes a difference. Here's Costa into the box. Oh, he gets it right. Shoot! Shoot! Oh, I don't know what Sandro's doing there. Laid it off to Pjanic on the edge of the box and he shoots wide. See, if that goes in, it suddenly gets interesting. Costa's the threat. There's a good build-up play for Spurs goal, to be fair. It's a shame. It's not a shame for Spurs fans that it goes in. It's just a shame he scuffs it because it was a well-worked passing move. But look, sometimes, you know, fortune favours the brave. Alex Hunter wants me to do a watch-along Ireland versus England and St Paddy's Day. Depends what other football's on that day, mate. I don't think there is any football on that day, actually. It's 2 weeks, isn't it? I think it's the... international break. It could work. It could be on something there. United stands back tomorrow lunchtime, 2 o'clock. I think we're going to do a combined Liverpool and Manchester United 11 tomorrow, and then 8 o'clock tomorrow night. So 2 shows on the United stand tomorrow. Right, Juventus have got to go up a gear now, or they're going out. It's going to be a very interesting second half. To be honest with you, a second Spurs goal doesn't actually make a hell of a lot of difference because Juventus need 2 anyway. This is where away goals makes it really weird because even if Spurs get a second, obviously it helps them if they get a third then, but Juventus have got to score 2 now anyway, so... I don't think Thomas Meunier will be at PSG next summer, no, said Jamie. Oh, header over the bar there. I think it's Sandro. Yeah. We are going to do content for the World Cup in the summer, Alexander L. So get subscribing if you're new and get sharing. Let's see if we can get those numbers up. In fact, get sharing anyway. We've nearly got 1,000 people watching, which is fantastic. Remember, if you're new to the United Stand, you're on the wrong channel. If you're new to That's Football, give us a subscribe, bottom right hand corner icon. Clarence Song, I think it's time for Buffon to retire. Pjanic nearly scored, not over yet, says Louise. I don't think it's nearly over at all. I worry about this referee. He's given a lot of yellow cards out, and he's that penalty decision was shocking. Prankhead says this is going to go to penalties, mark my words. Could be a long night then. It could be a long night. How many hours do you work, says Kieran? Just the standard 20 out of a 24-hour day. No, I do 8 hours now. The job I had up until a couple of months ago was horrible. It's the worst job I've ever had. For many reasons, but also because it was a 9-hour day. It was 8 till 5. I've never done that. It's always been like 8-4, 7-3. Tell us about what you do in the live comments. What's your job? What do you do? Introduce yourselves. Dean says, who's the ref and why is he killing our game? I think Dean wants Juventus to win. Do you think it's possible that the semi-finals will be an all-English team, says Elon D. Well, of course, there's 5 English teams, isn't there? Because Manchester United won the Europa League. I think there'll be an all-English quarter-final. I think that cup draws always have an element of, I don't want to say fixing, manipulation. And I think if Manchester United get through and Spurs get through, there will be 4 English teams in the last 8, and I think they will want to eliminate at least one, because you could have a ridiculous situation of domination from English teams, which would be great. I remember that happening a few years ago. We dominated for a few years, so I think we'll see an all-English quarter-final. But Liverpool are through, Man City will be through, Spurs looking good, United at home to Sevilla, 0-0. They should be all right. I just think this Champions League's fantastic this season. I really do. I think it's really exciting. Champions League isn't normally like that. This could be 2. Not quite. Juventus should get rid half time. I've been saying it a while, haven't I? I think this Champions League's really exciting. So, we'll be covering most games here on the Watchalong. I don't know how they do the quarterfinals. I don't like it when the games... one's kicking off at the same time, if you know what I mean. We might have to do dual watch-alongs actually, because we tried that at the weekend and we know that we can do it. So Xander could do one game and I could do the other. Karen says Man City will get the easiest draw. Well, yeah, probably. Chelsea will go out. So Chelsea, well, they're not definitely out, Chelsea, but it's going to be hard for them with that away goal in Barcelona. But if they got through, you got 5 out of 8. I mean, that'd just be ridiculous. May as well call it the Premier League. Said Jamie's an apprenticeship in graphics design. You might come in useful for the channel in future. Stay in touch. How many extra minutes? 2. In fact, he's just blown. He's just blown. Half time, Juventus are going to have to do something significant in this second half. I say significant, but actually they could turn that around. Of course they could. They've got to score 2 goals. They've got to score 2 goals, and I'd say just about Spurs will have deserved it, but it was definitely a penalty. But Spurs, I think, have just about edged it. Juventus not done a hell of a lot, but they've not been terrible. I just think it's gone the way I thought it would go. I think Juventus, Spurs were the better team in Turin, and I think Spurs are slightly the better team here, and I think they deserve. And as Owen Hutchinson says, Spurs are pressing and maintaining the ball really well. Still a close tie, says Football Red Devils. Yeah, I don't go anywhere for the second half. I think it's going to be really interesting. Dybala's done nothing, says Proficiency Music. He did nothing at the weekend and then scored a winner out of nothing. Hello from France, says Wolfran. Studying game design, working at a restaurant part-time, says Sarah Abjan. Some really interesting vocations people have got. Mark, what job did you do? We'll pick that up in the second half. Let's talk about this for a minute. We can do the job thing in the second half. So keep that ready. Who would you rather take, Neymar or Mbappe? Akash, we'll do that in the second half as well. Costa's world class and has been Juventus' best player, says Active Dan. He's a very good player, Douglas Costa. As I said, United were linked to him last summer, and I tell you what, you look at the fact that we've got no winger. Imagine what he could have done for us, especially he can play left and right as well, and he's got a decent cross on him, and he's fast, and he likes to dribble at people. Why were we never in for him? I don't know. If they lose, Dybala will definitely leave, says Claude Debussy. I think Dybala wants to go anyway. The thing is, though, what I would say about Dybala is I've watched a lot of Dybala. I would welcome him at Manchester United, of course I would, but don't expect him to come in and be Messi or Ronaldo. This is the reality that I think people fall into. The reality trap that people fall into is that you go and buy a Griezmann, an Alexis Sanchez, a Dybala, and you think they're going to be like Messi and Ronaldo. Messi and Ronaldo have set the standard that nobody will ever really hit. That consistency of brilliance. They're not world class, they're universe class. Everybody else are mere mortals, and they will play good, but they'll also have games where they're not so good. And that's what I would say about Dybala. 1, could he adapt to the Premier League? But 2, he ain't gonna tear it up every single game. That's not what. But Griezmann won't either. You know, Messi, the perfect player, fusion. Messi and Ronaldo set the standard so high, but that nobody can ever meet. Pankaj gets paid to watch adult movies. Must get sore. Oh, I love this game. I wish it was my job now. Mark, it was a good goal by Son, says Salim Hussein. It was a well-worked goal by Spurs. He mishit it, but it was a good, they deserved the goal. Addy says Douglas Costa is quality but very inconsistent, like Nani. And Ice Cold says Juventus team looks old. Yeah, they are. They are aging, to be honest with you. Stephanie loves the channel. Great. Keep subscribing, everyone. We're going to try and get 24,000 subscribers tonight. We're 250 short. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Share the video. This is That's Football. It's interactive, as you can see. We've got the live comments. The community makes the channel. We do this. There's content on the channel every day. Lots of different watch-alongs that we do. Topical debates, little updates, that rhymes, and loads going on. So if you like football, get involved. Everybody is welcome on this channel. If you've seen the United stand, you'll know we've built up a great community there around Manchester United, and I support Manchester United. But this channel, it's for everyone. It's universal. It's universe class, like Messi and Ronaldo, but no, it's universal. Everybody is welcome. So get on and give us your thoughts on football. And my thoughts, Spurs edged that. They're in a strong position with those 2 away goals. Whatever you think about away goals, and I'm not a big fan about it, Spurs in a strong position tonight because of that. And Tom has just subbed. Very welcome, Tom, newbie. You might not be a newbie. You might just not have subbed. Sub. Share. Let's get loads of people involved. Juventus need to hire a better coach, says Anthony. Will Lyons says you support Forest. Will, you really need to go and do your own research. You don't need to do your own research. You really need to stop listening to trolls. I mean, this is the video I did on the Mark Goldbridge channel earlier. Nothing to do with me supporting Forest, because I don't. But this is what is wrong with society at the moment. People are just lying on Twitter. David Astori, who died at the weekend, the Fiorentina captain, 31. Some twat, some troll, tweets out on Monday that Fiorentina are going to pay his contract for the rest of his kids' lives for years and years and years. A national newspaper in the UK tweets out breaking news. This is amazing. Loads and loads of big accounts do it because they want the retweets. Oh, if we tweet that out, everyone's going to do it. It's not even bloody true. And this is what I mean. There's so much inaccurate information out that people are getting brainwashed by. If you don't know something's true, don't bloody feed the flames. You know, we used to live in a society where journalism meant something. The amount of fake news out there, it's disgraceful. How much is De Bruyne worth, says Philip Hammond. God, it's so difficult to put a price on any player at the moment because, I mean, what was the last one? Coutinho, 130 million? So De Bruyne, 180? It's a ridiculous amount of money. He's not worth that, but, you know, it's just so difficult to gauge a player's value now. It's scary. It is absolutely scary what could happen to football with these values. I mean, how high can it go? I don't know. People are desperate for retweets. Mourinho talks. They are. It's just, you know, ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. How it happened with Chappie Cohen's as well. PSG are going to give him 60 million after the plane crash. They didn't. They weren't. I don't know whether they ended up doing it, but they weren't. It was a fake tweet. Fake news. I won't rise, Sebastian. I won't rise. Jashan says, a story news is false. Well, to be honest with you, you know, as a consumer, when you've got so many big accounts tweeting that story on him, of course you're going to believe it. But the response, this is the problem. There's, you know, and a lot of these big accounts on Twitter, I'm not going to name them because I can't be asked to get into bloody legal wars with them. You know, there are organisations out there on Twitter who own big accounts. You will never know that they're owned by the same people, but you think of big accounts that put memes up and GIFs up, and they're really big. And you think of another one, and then think of another one. They're probably all owned by the same people, and it's all about manipulation. It's what's that word? It's manufactured viral videos, because they've got big enough accounts that one retweets the other, and this, that, and the other, and they've got. I know as well. I'll give you another bit of information here. When you get something that goes viral, it may not go viral because it's organic. You know, a viral video may go viral because it's organic, because everyone sees it. Like Drawty did that video the other night of Matic with the Titanic music. That went viral. We don't ask people for retweets. That went viral. He sent it to me. I went, I'm going to retweet that. It's brilliant. And it goes viral organically. What I can tell you for a fact, because we get direct messages off these accounts, you'll get a direct message saying, how much for a retweet? Retweet for retweet? and they'll have a network of maybe 200 big accounts where they can DM them, put a tweet up and go, retweet, and people will do it. I will do one for you tomorrow. Of course, it just goes round and round and round, and it could be just a mundane video for me and you to put up, but they've got so many people that retweet it, which is fine. It's manufactured, but the scary thing is, as consumers, it gets rammed down our throat. So a funny video is okay, but what about if they want to get a certain message across to a few million people? It's scary how social media can brainwash people, and it works for political organisations as well. You know, I think the human mind was more free without social media, because I think social media is a great thing, but I think, you know, the way they can manipulate the message to us all now, it is scary. I mean, somebody tomorrow could just make a lie up about global warming. Where's the verification of it? You just don't know. It's really weird. Phase Mo HD. I'm not making any comments about who it is. Anyway, let's get back to the football. Don't get me on politics. That's what my channel is all about. Mark Goldbridge. I did a video on this afternoon. If you've got a minute, go and watch it later. It's all about that, and I would really like to get your points, but that's the sort of stuff I do on my own channel, or I will be doing. Mark Goldbridge. Anyway, back to the football. Dr. Trolley says Twitter's full of idiots. Look, I like Twitter for the football. I don't like football Twitter. That's, you know, I don't have a problem with it. I don't get involved in it. But FT is a whole other entity. I don't know much about football Twitter. But what I like about Twitter is football news. I like what a few journalists on there. I like a few accounts on there. I like the interaction with fans when it's just like it is on here. Mark zoned out, says Jay Krishna. Well, it is half time. It is half time. Who are the top 3 midfield players you would pick in your football team? Exclude anyone from United. Well, thanks for that disclaimer, Dan Rich, but I wouldn't put any Manchester United player in the top 3 midfield players anyway. Pogba could be, but at the moment he wouldn't deserve to be there. I think I think they play for the same club. The best balanced midfield in the world is Kroos, Modric, and Casemiro. It's perfect. If I was pitching 3 individuals, God, good question. It's hard. I'd like to answer that question in May, because I really want to see how good the Premier League teams are compared to the rest of Europe. I think for years, the last 4 or 5 years, we've known that Real Madrid, Barcelona, and even Bayern Munich, look what they're doing to Arsenal, and City, they're on a different level to the English teams. But I think this year it might balance. And then you can look at English players in the Premier League players, and you can say they are on a level with that. So I'd like to readdress that question. Cameron Stones just subscribed to my channel, Mark Goldbridge. Thanks for that, Cameron. You see, he's popped off for 30 seconds. He's gone and subscribed to the Mark Goldbridge as well. Back of the net. I can't wait for United Liverpool. That'll be on the United stand, Peter, on Saturday lunchtime. I can't wait for it. We're going to start building up for it, some content tomorrow. United is the weakest team in the Champions League, says J Day. You know, I'm a United fan. I'm not going to get riled by that. I think you're probably wrong, because Basel is still in it, and Shakhtar Donetsk and Roma is still in it, and I can guarantee you United are better than Roma. I watch a lot of Serie A. I should have that on my t-shirt. I watch a lot of Serie A. I think United would probably give Juventus a good game at the moment. They'd struggle against Spurs. They struggle against City. We'll see what they can do against Liverpool at the weekend. Real Madrid and Barcelona and Bayern Munich could be a tough opposition, but they're certainly not in the top 5 to win this tournament, Manchester United. But things could change. Hang in there. You know, they've got a boxer's chance. You know, it's a bit like, you know, we're only in round whatever. If United can just hang in there, I think they might have a chance. They can only get better, and we saw in the second half against Palace they played a lot better. They can only get better. Akash says best midfield 3: Busquets, Kevin De Bruyne, and Kroos. So I don't really see Kevin De Bruyne as a midfield 3. I don't see Kevin De Bruyne in a midfield 3 in a 4-3-3. I think he's more of an advanced player in a 4-2-3-1. I don't think he's a midfield 3 player. De Bruyne, Modric, Dembele, Joe 1. It's not bad. Kian O'Halloran, I love United stand, but you never read my comments. Just subscribe to Mark Goldbridge. Thank you, Kian. There's a few people popping off and subscribing to the Mark Goldbridge channel as well, which is great. I really Really, actually, I will just say, because we've got 1,000 people watching, if you have an opportunity later on tonight or tomorrow to go to the Mark Goldbridge channel and watch the video where I've said Twitter is killing humanity, it's a big title, but I would love you to watch it, and then, you know, you might just totally disregard what I've said, but do leave your comments on there, because I want to do a follow-up video taking in a lot of your comments. Here we go. Good question here from Jay Krishna. There was a question in the chat as to why, as English club fans, support English teams even if they are a rival. What's your thoughts on that? I don't. I don't support English clubs in the Champions League. I never have. I'm very, very, very tribal. Liam EFC. I tell you what, Liam, you've made my night, because you're not a United fan. I want people to subscribe to the channel who are not United fans. I love United fans, and I want you to come over to the channel and get involved, but we do want to get fans of other clubs involved, because that's what That's Football's all around. It's for everybody. Every voice matters. Philip Hammond's just been and subscribed to the Mark Goldbridge channel as well. Great. Remember to subscribe to this one. We're getting close to 23,800. I don't support other English clubs in the Champions League normally, because I support Manchester United, and it hurts if Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal, Chelsea win the Champions League. I hate it. I don't get any joy out of it. I would break that rule for Spurs. I find Spurs quite inoffensive, and I think if Spurs won the Champions League, I wouldn't feel anything other than well done. So maybe Spurs are cleansing me of that bitterness, because I wouldn't mind Spurs winning the Champions League if United went out. But with regards to Liverpool, Chelsea, Man City and Arsenal, I suppose there's a rivalry there, isn't there? There's a history there, and that's why, for me, I don't ever support them in Europe. I want Man City to lose next round. I want Liverpool to lose next round. But Spurs, I don't. I quite like Spurs. Second half's kicked off. Anyway, Spurs have got to get through this tie. Very, very good. Very good chance for Spurs to get through. Juventus are going to really have to surprise me. I love Juventus. I've always loved Juventus. There's just something about their club, a bit like Manchester United, a bit like Bayern Munich, a bit like Real Madrid. You know, they're a historic big club, and I like Juventus, but they are a bit of an ageing club, like people were saying in the first half. Kieran Burns, social media is a hellhole. Well, I'm going to get on the Mark Goldbridge channel and give you thoughts on that. I've got a few ideas as to how we can start, you know, doing something about it as a community, to be honest. There are a few things that need to be done. It's a bit of a wild west, and it needs a bit of regulation. We're going to be the regulators. Young Guns. Young Guns 3. Goldbridge and the regulators. Anyway, Spurs chance. Cleared. Ed Woodward, who are you hoping for if United get through? You know what, mate? I ain't bothered. And I'm not going to think about it until we're through. I'll just be happy if United get through. If people think we're going to just brush Sevilla aside, we were very lucky not to be 2 or 3 down in that second leg going into it. Sebastian United, I really need BT Sports. Of course, I mean, that's another thing. Champions League game. Spurs are on the attack here. Let me just keep an eye out. Son, my man of the match so far. He's on fire. You like it? He's on fire. Yeah, I mean, I've got to say, I really, you know, fan opinion is what motivates me, because it's the best opinion. It's better than any pundit. It's better than any bloody broadcaster. Fan opinion, you get the most passion and you get the most realism, because they you know, it matters. I was really disappointed when the Champions League went off terrestrial TV. It used to be on the ITV in the UK, which is a terrestrial Freeview channel. And then it went to, I think it went to Sky for a little bit, and then it's gone to BT Sports. Now, BT Sports is doing a lot of good things. They get Gary Lineker on, you get, you know, Ferdinand and Gerrard and Lampard. They've spent a lot of money on the coverage. But I know a lot of people who've got Sky but don't have BT. They're just like, I'm not paying for another one. Now, I'm in a fortuitous situation where I'm on Virgin Media. You've always had the second channel free, like Setanta Sports, ESPN, and now BT. You get it free. It's part of the Virgin package. But it's a lot of money for people to commit, and I think that's really sad that there are a lot of people in the UK who don't get to watch Champions League football on their telly because they've been priced out. Money, money, money. But it's a bit like Wimbledon, isn't it? And it's a bit like the Olympics and the World Cup. It's written into the rule book that they must be available on terrestrial TV. And I think the Champions League should be like that. It's still on terrestrial TV in Ireland. I lived in Ireland for 3 years. The way I'll tell you what, Kieran, I'll tell you now. English people who've never lived in Ireland won't accept this and they won't believe me, but Irish TV, it shits all over English TV. They've got way better films, they've got way better schedules, and their sports coverage is better as well. Mark, you should do player scouting videos on your channel. Hopefully you won't compare anyone to Fellaini, says Ananthu. Yeah, good idea. Good idea. I knew someone was going to come out with something about a Virgin package. Well done, Scott. You didn't disappoint. A lot of yellow cards floating around in this game. Benisha's got one now. And Ian Turlington's right. You lose a lot of new supporters when you take it off terrestrial TV, because he says, that's how I got into following United. Used to love watching them in the Champions League on BBC and ITV as a kid, you see. Yeah, it's true. You see, wall-to-wall football and subscriptions for football and football channels, it's not necessarily the best thing for cultivating new supporters of your club. I think when everything used to be on terrestrial TV when I was younger, you watch, if Liverpool's on a Wednesday night and you've only got 5 channels because that's what you had in like the early 90s, you're going to watch Liverpool, aren't you? Spurs still, the second half is following the same pattern as the first half, to be honest. Quite equal, but Spurs still doing a lot of the pressing in the Juventus half. Juventus are going to have to do something. They've got to score 2. And at the moment, Akash says, Lloris better goalkeeper than Buffon for the past 5 years. He ain't been the better goalkeeper for the last 5 minutes, mate. Certainly not in the last 5 years. RTE shows the Champions League in Ireland, says Jamie O'Hare. I'm trying to think of the channels. You got RTE, when I lived there, you had RTE, Network 2, Tina G, Ulster TV. Liam EFC, what is your most unrealistic transfer? Messi to United. That's probably the most unrealistic transfer. Arsenal tomorrow night, 6 PM. She was only 16 years old. Have you ever been to Galway, and will you ever be going back to Ireland, says Cian O'Halloran. I have been to Galway on the west coast. I went there with my get this right, I didn't go there with my current wife. I've only been married once. I went there with the girl I lived with in Ireland at the time, actually, although I did meet my wife when it was in Ireland as well. But yeah, we went over there, stayed in the B&B. I remember there's a little bit of a walkway with pubs that was quite narrow. I think I was ill, actually. I think we went to the cinema. We went to Galway for the weekend and went to the cinema. I can't remember what we watched. Waterford, went down to there. Never been to Cork. Never been to Cork. Svi Mello says Spurs winning the Champions League would be like Leicester winning the Premier League, a Hollywood underdog story in real life. You know what? I think to the rest of the Europe, you're right, Svi. You're right. But I think to the people in the Premier League, I don't think we'd see it as that much of a fairy tale. I think it'd be a great achievement, but if you've watched Spurs for the last 3 seasons, and especially the last 6 weeks, they're as good as anything in the Premier League at the moment. Chiellini's been booked. So I think they've got a good chance of winning the Champions League. But you're right, the rest of Europe would be like, what? Juventus will not like going out to Spurs because they won't understand how good Spurs are because they haven't got any history, Spurs, of being a big team from England. So Juventus fans will, I guarantee you, react to this very, very badly. They won't like this at all. They would have expected to win. I agree with you, Ekamo. I think Juventus would struggle against United. Well, I don't know whether they'd struggle, but I think it wouldn't. Juventus aren't the team they used to be. I mean, Spurs have been better over the 2 legs. Alex Rudd says, for us Gunners, it would be a nightmare. Yeah, no, I accept that, mate. I mean, that's the brilliant thing about football, isn't it? It's great that we can have fans of different clubs getting involved with this, because that's what we want. Because the different politics of everybody, obviously, Arsenal fans would rather do something to themselves with quite a sharp object than Spurs win the title, the Champions League. And it works both ways. Spurs fans wouldn't want Arsenal to win it either. It's a bit like I would never want Liverpool to win the Champions League. Oh, he's offside. It's a shame there. Dybala was in, but he was offside. And Spurs play a very good defensive line as well. Subscribe if you're new. Bottom right hand corner, click that subscribe button and keep sharing the video, please, on Twitter and everything. We could hit 24,000 subscribers tonight. It would make Xander's night, because he doesn't pull in many subscribers when he does it. Mark, what team do you support? Says Dennis Gigi MU. Well, you've said Glory Glory Man United in your username. I think you're pissing around, mate. You must know. Do you not know who I am? Does any that was a joke, by the way. That has got to be one of the worst irritating lines in history, and it's been said to me a couple of times. Yeah. And I've been with somebody when they went, do you know who I am as well? I just think it's one of the most embarrassing things to say, and arrogant as well. Xander doesn't pull in general, says Matthew McFadden. I tell you what, I've seen a picture of his girlfriend. Now, unless he's paid her for that picture, and she ain't bad for Xander. She's done all right. I've got a funny feeling Xander's a bit of a hit with the ladies. Juventus will win, says Mayo. I'll tell you what, we're all set for that. We're all set for that. Dale Roberts, all right, mate. Champ and Herbs. I'm a Liverpool fan, yeah, that's right. Gary, at least he's saying Notts County. I mean, I'm from Nottingham. I support Manchester United, but I constantly get called a Forest fan. And I think it really neglects something that Notts County are actually from there as well. And, you know, I think Dele Alli should have had a yellow card for that there. He did. Hey, being as Xander nicked it last night as well, let's have a little bit of a nose. Where's everybody watching from? Let us know in the comments, and I'll read some out, but personally, I'll just read them as well. Al Rezwara thinks all English teams will qualify. Look, I said that tie was over between Chelsea and Barcelona when Barcelona got the away goal. A lot of people didn't agree with me. Football, that's football. Anything can happen. And of course Chelsea could go to the new camp and get something. I would say the only chance of it happening is if English football is closer to La Liga than many of us think. Is it? You know, we've seen that English football is better than Italian football at the moment. Where does it measure up to Spanish clubs? And we don't really have much of a gauge. We've got Sevilla, Manchester United, and that's not really a good gauge because Sevilla should have beaten them, but Sevilla aren't doing particularly well in La Liga. So we've got Oliver Banks in Helsinki. We've got Anil Chernak in Iceland, Delvins in Birmingham, Swindon, Sunderland, North Carolina, Wakanda, Stafford. 1-1 doesn't make it go to extra time, Kieran. It would have to be 2-2 because it was 2-2 in the first leg, so Spurs have got 2 away goals. Ooh, Son bending one over. Meribel, French champs for Gregor Pirori. 1-1, extra time won't happen, Louise. You're wrong, because it was 2-2 in the first leg. Madagascar, says Osso. Hutchinson, Minnesota, says Trevor Evans. Dublin, Norway, Kuwait. Germany. Armagh, Norway. Cork, Kuwait. I think it's the same person. New York City, Brooklyn, Alex Rudd. Copenhagen, Per Cruz. 2 places I want to go, Copenhagen and New York. In fact, I'm thinking of going to New York early December. Mauritius, and it's 1 a.m, says El Reswaro. South Africa, says Faison. India, it's 2:30 a.m, says Akash. There's a lot of dedication in these parts of the world of people who stay up until the early hours watching our football. It's amazing. Zed Jamie, a man after my own heart with this statement. He says, Man City winning the Champions League would bring shame to the sport. The fact that oil money is the key to European success. Also pleased PSG are out. I'm with you, bro. I'm with you. I salute you. I totally agree. I hate it. I hate the fact that oil money, or any money. I didn't like it when Chelsea did it. I didn't even like it when Blackburn Rovers did it with Jack Walker. I just don't like somebody coming along with a load of money and treating it as like football as some little toy. You know, there's history. There's an order in football. Red Devil Gaming channels from Nottingham. The great thing is that Spurs have got that 1 goal because Juventus at some point is surely going to create something. Sebastian, I can't DM you. I don't know what your Twitter is. Alright. Asamoah's coming on for Juventus and Matuidi's coming off. And bit of an attacking substitution there. Chris, will you do Football League playoffs watch along? We'll see. You know, that's football's very fluid in the sense that we'll do what people want us to do. I mean, look, you know, at the moment we've got me and Xander doing the presenting, but as you've seen, it's not. You know, I'll give my opinion like everybody else, but it's an interactive show, and we will start doing call-in shows as well, like we do on the United Stand. But we just want to. First of all, we started off just doing a few watch-alongs and the odd show here and then. Now we've pushed it up to daily content, which is really good. The next thing is to start doing call-ins, but we'll always be dictated by what you lot want to do. I mean, we're not going to start doing Accrington Stanley against Macclesfield because we'll get 3 people watching, but a busy day. Sorry, I've just got to send a text. Busy day. Hey, I tell you what. It's £9,500. It's £9,500. What was I going to say? Has anybody watched a comedy on the BBC called This Country? It's brilliant. Takes a little bit of. Well, I liked it from the first show because I like The Office, but it's very good. Very good. Would you let DT present That's Football? I couldn't afford him. We couldn't afford him on this channel. He's too expensive these days. You know, he's doing big things. He's getting quoted by Noel Gallagher. Him and Troops. Yeah. He'd be very welcome on here. You know, I had him on. Me and DT had a few run-ins. You know, obviously both quite opinionated people. But we sorted it out. We got him on that United Stand, and we had a really good conversation. So, good. You know, I'll be happy to do stuff with him in the future. I ain't got a problem with him. Treat people as you find them, is what I say. I know United fans who are just absolute knobheads. Just because they support the club I support doesn't mean if they're a knobhead I have to like them. Treat people as they are. You know, it's a bit like, you know, racism, isn't it? It's just such a outdated way of living. To dislike somebody because of where they're from, it's just ridiculous. You take them as you take people as they see them. You know, everybody. It's the inside that matters, isn't it? Sandro would be great in the Premier League. Calamity Jones, yeah. We need a goal here. Well, do we need a goal? Do we need a goal? A Spurs goal still doesn't change anything. Juventus have got to score 2. Juventus at the moment are just trying to sort of work their way in to get a goal. If they can get a goal, doesn't matter how. it just sets it up. Nervous time for Spurs. He didn't get paid to go on the United stand. No, Mourinho talks, no. I'm not scratching my mouth there because I'm lying. People will go, oh, that's a lie. Look at his non-verbal communication skills. No. Well, we had Stan Collymore on the United stand. We didn't pay him. Offside. No, goal. I thought he was offside. Higuain, goal. 1-1. Little flick of a header by Dybala. Funny, I just said that, didn't I? Just said that. I said a goal in this game will make Spurs nervous. And what I would say about Juventus, people say they're old. They're wily. It's a well-worked goal again. Onside there, overlap. Cross comes in. Headed towards the goal by Khedira. And Higuain's miles onside. I don't know why I thought he was off. He's just timed his run well. It wasn't even on. He was level when he kicked it as well. Just a good goal from Juventus there. This is exactly what they did to Lazio at the weekend. I wouldn't say Lazio played as well as Spurs did, but you just couldn't see it happening. And Higuain 1-1, and now for Spurs that is squeaky bum time because Juventus have got to score another one, and if they do score another one. If Spurs don't, they're out. But even if Spurs do, it's extra time. Unless it stays like this. What a game, says Louise O'Donoghue. Yeah, it set it up nice. And now Spurs have just got to worry now. Football is such a great game because it's never about who's the better team. It's about different phases of a game. And Spurs now are going to get really tested. Are they bottlers? You know, been playing without fear for a long time, but now they know one mistake towards the end of this game and they could be out. Doesn't matter whether they've been the better team over 2 legs, they could be out. And they've got to keep their heads and not get nervous. Spurs switched off. SAF 2008, they did. Juve got to attack, says Jay Mitchell. Yep, you're spot on, Jake. If Spurs scores again, it doesn't make any difference to Juventus at all, really. Unless Juventus score first, obviously. Louise O'Donoghue said penalties. Somebody else said that as well before. Spurs are going to bottle it, says John Sherrell. Trust is the key, says Kane will wake up. Edward Wood, football is my life. Nothing will ever change that. Love the United Stand community. I actually don't know which way I want this to go. I really don't. I've always, like I say, I've got a lot of love for Juventus. I've always liked Juventus. But I really like Spurs this season as well. Not as supporting them, no. Oh, he's in! And he's 1-on-1. Dybala! 2-1. Oh my good night. This is Juventus all over. Unbelievable. This is unbelievable. If you don't know anything about Juventus, this is absolutely the sort of thing that Juventus do. Not really in a game, and then bang, they're in a game. Well, I think Juventus have got that goal a little bit quicker than they would have thought. And they'll defend now. And even if Spurs do score, he's well onside as well. Dybala, slide rule pass. His run beats the offside trap. And this is the problem with the offside trap. If you get it wrong, you're not coming back. And then in that position, oh, Dybala's been really quiet. You wouldn't want anybody else. He's absolutely always going to score that. Always going to score that. And it's exactly the same as the Lazio game. Very, very, very quiet against Lazio. Made a goal out of nothing and finished it with his left foot. That's what Dybala does. That's what Dybala does. That's Dybala. The last 2 games I've watched him. I saw him at the weekend against Lazio. Watching him again tonight. Very, very, very quiet. Very quiet. But that's the thing about Dybala. Even when he's quiet, he can still be deadly. So imagine him when he's on it. You know, for those people who don't get to see a lot of Dybala, last couple of games, very quiet, scored 2 very good goals. And, you know, when he's on it, this is why he's touted. Tyrone Williams. Most people on here were calling Dybala overrated. Look, I watch a lot of Juventus. I watch a lot of Italian football. Dybala is ridiculously quiet tonight, but we did the watch along at the weekend. Lazio Juventus. He was probably worse in that game than he has been tonight. Hardly had the ball at all. But in both games, he scored big goals. He's a good player, and he didn't play in the first leg. So if anyone thinks he was quiet in that, he was. He's like a ninja, silent but deadly, says 100th Jet. Yeah, you're right. No matter what the game, he could be quiet for 89 minutes like he was against Lazio. Gets a goal, wins it. Now Juventus heads will be gone in this. Spurs heads will be gone at the moment. They've got 20 minutes to turn this around. But Juventus nearly in for a third here. But somebody asked in the first half, what do Spurs need to make them title winners? And I think we may get an example here of why they won't be title winners. Really good throughout both legs. Better team. They've been the best team in both legs. They've been the better team tonight. But they're down in the tie. There's just something about them that bottles situations. They never should have let this happen. Dracula, Spurs are bottling it. Andrew K, Spurs, perpetual bottle jobs. CR7, Ronaldo, Spurs, the king of bottlers. Calamity James, you know who's overrated? Harry Kane. Look, Harry Kane, I wouldn't call him overrated. He's surprised me how good he's been the last couple of years. I never thought he had the attributes to be like world class, which he is at the moment. But he's not had a lot to do tonight. Spurs have themselves to blame, says FaZe. I don't think they've been as clinical as they should have been in this game. It's not over yet. No, I agree with you, Dr. Trolley. Am I the only one watching City versus Basel? Vijay? Yeah. Especially if you sat in the stadium. Highline lets them down again, says Darren Gibbs. Yeah. It's good when it works, but when it doesn't work. But as I said, if you don't want Man City or Liverpool to win this Champions League, then you should be wanting Spurs to go through, because Spurs are a better team. I don't think Juventus are going to cause City any problems. I think Liverpool over 2 legs will probably beat them as well. I don't think Juventus are an ageing team, and they're a bit like a Mourinho team, really. They can grind their way to a final, but they're not by any means as good as, I still think they'll win the title, because I think Napoli will fade away. But throughout the whole season, Napoli have been the team that's ran away with that title. George Kyle, Spurs are such utter bottle jobs. The thing is, though, the worrying thing about Spurs at the moment is they've looked good throughout this whole tie, and now they are looking a bit like bottle jobs. Well, Sam Som says Juventus to park the bus, but they haven't. They haven't parked the bus so far since they've gone 2-1 ahead. And I think the reason they haven't parked the bus is because they sense that Spurs have, maybe it's momentarily, but Spurs have sort of lost a bit of composure. And, you get a third. If Juventus get a third goal, I mean, you've got to look. I don't like away goals because it's ridiculous. But if Juventus get another goal and go 3-1, Spurs have got to score 4. No, they've got to get to 4. They'd have to score 3. So it gets ridiculous. One more goal for Juventus, and Spurs are in trouble. And I don't know how it works in extra time. If it does go 2-2, it goes to extra time. But if Juventus get a goal in extra time, does it count as an away goal? And that's where the disadvantage comes in. It's weird. It's weird. Anyway, subscribe to the channel if you're new. This is probably one of the best watch-alongs we've done of the season so far. It's intriguing. But I did say this Champions League, you know, we have been enjoying it and we are enjoying it. But we're going to start seeing some sad moments because we're going to see some decent teams go out. And in the next 20 minutes, we might see Spurs go out, which will be a shame for their season. Can Pochettino handle big games, says Chris Edwards. Good point. Alvarez off to bed. It's 1:15 in there. I'd stay up now, mate, for this. 20 minutes to find out. Mourinho talks. If Juventus score now, Spurs need 3. Yep. Lamella's come on for Spurs. Away goals don't count in extra time, says B Sanjay. I don't know whether that's 100%, but I've got to take my hat off to Juventus. They've when they got the one back, I thought, oh, it's going to set it up for a barnstorm in the last 10 minutes. But to go and get the other, you know, quick fire goals like that, it's just it's the legacy of Juventus. It's the size of Juventus. It's the difference between being a big club. They are a big club, Juventus, and you know, over the years you become accustomed to these sort of situations. And these players may be old, but they'll have played many minutes and many situations. And Spurs, especially in the Champions League, they haven't. And you know, they've played in phases, and they just went for it in that 4 or 5 minutes between the first and the second goal. They just went for it, and at the moment they're going for it. They know another goal, and Spurs are in trouble. And Spurs are in a bit of trouble at the moment. They seem to be getting caught out a lot of space being given up to Juventus as they, you know, Spurs have just lost it. They've lost their heads for the last few minutes, and they need to get their head around the fact. I think Spurs thought they were going to have to work hard, but they were through. And now they've got to get their heads around the fact that they need to score a goal, and they need to just throw caution to the wind in the next 10 minutes and do something. 1 goal for Spurs will force extra time. SAF 2008, Juventus have turned this game on its head. Very clever play for both goals. Took the pace out of the game, then boom. Yeah, I agree. Louis Webber thinks Dybala will get another one. Kwesi Brown, good point. Juventus were finalists last year. Why did we expect Spurs to walk all over them? I didn't expect Spurs to walk all over them, and the rest of Europe wouldn't expect Spurs to walk all over them. I just think a lot of Premier League watchers know how good Spurs have been and weren't surprised how well Spurs did in Juventus, in Turin, and the first half tonight. But Juventus are a good side, and so are Spurs. But I never would have thought Spurs would walk all over Juventus, no. Still time for Spurs anyway. I think there'll be something else in this game. Cal Davis, yeah, 8 o'clock tomorrow night, United stand. Also got a video going up in the day. Adam84657 says, Mark, do you want all English clubs in the Champions League to do well? The only other English club I want to do well in the Champions League, apart from Manchester United, is this one. Not Liverpool, not Chelsea, not Liverpool. But that's rivalry. I find Spurs quite inoffensive, and maybe this is why I find them inoffensive, because they never really do anything, do they? Pretty team to watch, but ultimately never wind you up enough because they never win anything. But they are starting to... Juventus are pushing back a bit. Spurs are going forward a bit. So I think this is going to be the way the game sets itself up from now on. Oh, that was good. Really good defending from Chiellini. And Buffon loved it. Cross coming in from Son, fast and low. And now Juventus have got their defending game on. And this is where they might be able to roll back those years a bit. Chiellini and Buffon, love it. Football at the highest level, says Tyrone Williams. It is. This is it. This is what it is all about. 12 minutes. Still a long time left. Long time left. I'm sure Juventus would like it to be another 8 minutes, another 10 minutes on top of that. Taken off, sorry. You've got to put that... Dele Alli. Tell you what, Dele Alli's had a crap season, hasn't he, really? He's been really poor. Higuain can motor when he wants to, you know. Got a bit of pace about him. Juventus on the attack at the moment. Kieran, I think Liverpool over 2 legs against Juventus. Well, look, Spurs with a bit of nous could have been home and hosed in this. You know, Juventus, I like Juventus a lot, as I've said many a time, but they are an ageing team and you can definitely get at them this season, which has been seen in Italy and in Europe. So, Liverpool... If Spurs can nearly beat them, then of course Liverpool can as well. I personally think United over 2 legs could get past Juventus, so I wouldn't be too worried. I mean, tomorrow night's going to be really interesting. You know, AC Milan, Arsenal. I still think English football's better than Serie A this season. So, as bad as Arsenal are, I just got a funny feeling Arsenal might do AC Milan as well. We'll see tomorrow night, but. At the moment, the Italian league is on top of the Premier League. Jack Hopkins, you can have a shout out, pal. So I think it's going to be... I normally do 1 o'clock if I do a day show on the United stand, but tomorrow I'm out. I'm actually meeting my dad, Chelsea fan dad, at lunch. So I'll be back for 2, so I'll do it at 2 o'clock. That's going to be a Manchester United and Liverpool combined 11. I was going to do it as a pre-record, but I like the interactive of the live, especially on something like that. So I'll do it at 2 o'clock. And also we'll be live at 8 o'clock on the United stand. Here tomorrow night, 6 o'clock, Arsenal AC Milan. Watch along because it's a 6 o'clock kickoff. Arsenal fans are going to be loving this, Kemar says. Yeah, you're right. Remember, if you're new to That's Football, subscribe and spread the word. Tell people about That's Football, because the great thing about That's Football is, stop moving your head like that, is everybody's invited. Everyone's invited. Everyone's got an opinion, and it doesn't matter who you support. I don't imagine we'll have loads of Spurs or Juventus fans watching this. That's Football's really for like when you're going to watch a game and maybe it's not your club and you just want a bit of a chat and a bit of interactivity. That's football. David, if I could read that comment, I would. It made me laugh. Still time for Spurs. Still time for Spurs, but this tie has now played into the hands of Juventus, where 10 minutes to go, they've got something to defend, and they'll defend it. I agree with you, Xavier Daniels. I never thought I'd say this, but Jesse Lingard over Dele Alli this season, 100%. In fact, I'm just going to probably go and tweet that and nick it, to be honest. Right, well, Spurs have got to try and work their way through, haven't they? Buffon had that covered. Dele Alli's been shocking this season. I can't remember where I said it, on what video I said it, or on what channel I said it, but I said back in August that this is the season Dele Alli can go from being really top class to world class, and I expected him to have a really big season, culminating in a big World Cup. And despite Spurs having a good season, Dele Alli has been crap. By the standards he set himself the previous 2 years, he's been crap. I don't know what's happened to him. Unbelievably poor. Regression. Unbelievable. Really, really poor. And I don't know. I don't know. Dante Roa says the next goal could be the decider. There's the understatement of the year. If I was going to go either way at the moment, I think Juventus are going to hold out. I think they just look like they've rolled back the years, you know, and this is what they do. And yes, they're aging, but their mindset will be 10 minutes. And the thing is, if you've followed Italian football for any period of time, and it doesn't even have to be Serie A, it can be international football as well. I know they're not in this World Cup, but Italy national team, AC Milan, Juventus, for years, this is what they do. They end up at the business end of tournaments, and sometimes you think, have they done that? Now they've got it up there. They've got the experience. They've got the know-how. And they play in phases. They just went for it in that 5 minutes, and they caught Spurs cold twice. And that's all it took. Over 180 minutes, Spurs arguably the better team. But for 5 minutes, Juventus took it up a gear. And they'll be thinking, how the hell have we allowed this to happen? Tyrone Williams, Spurs are nervous. Their heads are gone. Heads gone. Dele Alli's off. Was he ever on? Not happy. You're not happy. Poor Spurs fans. They're going to be gutted. To be honest, I feel sad for them because whichever way this goes, and it still could go either way tonight, I've not really had a team I want to win or lose. I really like Juventus, and I think the way Spurs play football is great. But ultimately, whoever asked that question in the first half, at the moment, it's being answered. What do Spurs need to do to win a title? Well, they look like title winners. They do, but then they come up short. You know, this is not even the quarterfinals of the Champions League. This is the last 16, and the way it looks is they're not even gonna get to the quarterfinals, and that's, you know, bottlers is not a nice term, but until they learn, you know, 5 minutes has cost them this. 5 minutes. Football at the highest level, though, isn't it? You know, at the end of the day, it's painful, isn't it? You know, league football, it goes on for a whole season. Once you get into the business end of tournaments, it's harsh. And this is, I wouldn't say it's harsh on Spurs. If they go out, it's what they deserve. But it'd be a very, 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 very difficult pill for Spurs fans to swallow, because it's like, what do we do? What do we do? What do you do? How do you? Here we go. Ericsson. Oh, well blocked. Llorente needed to go wide there. I mean, if you're a Spurs, oh, Dembele's going to go in the book there. How do you buy a spine? How do you stop yourselves being bottlers? It becomes a bit like Spurs. I've always said about Spurs, always the bridesmaids, never the brides, and they're a bit like England on penalties. I don't think England will ever get past that mentality of being bottlers at taking penalties, because it goes on for so long that it becomes part of your psyche. And I think Spurs have just sort of got that as part of their psyche now. They're just always the bridesmaids, never the bride. And it's very difficult to change that way. And if United beat Sevilla next week and go to the quarterfinals, you'll have a lot of Spurs fans going, how has that happened? How have United played poor football for most of the season, but they're in the Champions League and they're ahead of us in the league? When we've played really great football and everyone's been really, saying what great football we are, and then we're below them in the league and we're out of the Champions League. And I'll tell you how, because it's not always just about playing football. You've got to have that winning mentality. You've got to have that mindset. And, this is an aging Juventus team, but there's winners. Higuain, very experienced. Chiellini, very experienced. Khedira, very experienced. Buffon, very experienced. But, I can't see Spurs finding a way through here. Oh, Kane. Oh! No, it's not over the line. Harry Kane hit a header there. It came onto the post. It definitely didn't go over the line. We're into nearly the 90th minute. Harry Kane's actually offside anyway. Headed down. Post. What's he going to add on? They never add long on in the Champions League games. Good header by Harry Kane. Buffon's wrong-footed. Along the line. If Lamella's got a backbone, he's following that up. Lamella should get that first. Hits the ball. Hits the post along the line. And Lamella, as a striker, stops. And the defender reacts. Not over the line. That's shocking from Lamella. As a striker, you can't stop like that. He's got to react. 3 minutes, 2.5 minutes for Spurs to get a goal. Llorente. I'll tell you what. Oh, Juventus might break here. The last man you want is Dybala. He's gonna take the foul here. He ain't stupid. No, he didn't. Got rid of the ball. I've got to put my hands up. I've got to applaud Juventus so far. The way they've done this is just they've got the ball down in the corner now. They defended fantastically for the last 15 minutes. There's only a minute left. Higuain shoots at Lloris. Andrew Kay, little known fact, Lamella is made out of cartilage and rubber, no backbone required. Well, whatever happens, it's been a great game. I do feel sorry for Spurs. I can't lie about that, but it is what it is, isn't it? Someone's got to lose, and you can't discredit what Spurs have achieved in this game. It's been very good. I mean, what Juventus have achieved in this game. We've only got 30 seconds left. Dybala's gone down. Spurs ain't happy. 30 seconds left. Don't forget to join us tomorrow night for Arsenal versus AC Milan as well. That's going to be interesting. He's given a free kick to Juventus. That will be the end of the tie, and Pochettino knows it. Bye-bye Spurs, says Akash. Well, I'm going to do a match reaction, by the way. There's a link in the video description. I've just got to be back 4 or 5 minutes, and I'll be doing that after this one. But thanks to everybody who's joined in for this. Didn't quite get to 24,000 subscribers, but if you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. Bottom right-hand corner. He's going to blow. He's going to blow. And he has. Juventus put Spurs out. Absolutely fantastic to watch. We've done both legs, and I feel for Spurs, but Juventus, it's just something I like Juventus. I like Juventus, and what they've done there is just, you know, it's a bit like the senior kid putting the younger kid out. You know, Spurs need to grow a backbone, and they just don't seem to be able to do it. They should not. Perennial botters, says Tyrone Williams. Absolutely spot on. I can't understand how Spurs have managed to lose that tie. But Juventus, you've got to applaud them. You've got to applaud them. And Dybala apparently had a bad game, but you give him a sniff and he scores a goal. There's an Arsenal. Somebody was holding up an Arsenal shirt there. Football, eh? That's football. I do think that will be good news for if you want Liverpool to win it, if you want City to win it, even if you want United. I don't think United should fear. I don't think any of the decent teams will fear Juventus this season. Spurs probably should have put them out, but Buffon lives on, and the old lady wins it, says Perkles. So you know, fantastic. I really look forward to watching a little bit more of Juventus in the next round. Spurs, you've got to grow a backbone. You've got to grow a backbone. Anyway, I'm going to do a match reaction in about 5 minutes' time. The link is in the video description, so get over there if you want to watch that. I'll give you my thoughts in a concise thing. But if not, thanks everyone for watching. This is the That's Football channel. Make sure you subscribe before you leave and get involved. Got daily content on here, watch-alongs, and all that jazz. And also, as a little personal thing, I've got a channel called Mark Goldbridge. I put a video up today about social media and how it's destroying humanity, especially Twitter. If you get the opportunity to go on the Mark Goldbridge channel tonight and just watch it and give me your thoughts, because we'll be following it up as well. But thanks everyone. I'll do the match reaction in a few minutes, and speak to you all soon.